Well, despite the fact that Paul Ellis is an award-winning speaker, that wasn't his speech. Our first speaker now is Ray Cotter, with a speech entitled, I Know What You're Thinking. Please welcome Ray Cotter.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh my God, I wouldn't be found dead in that tie. Give it again. Oh, I got it in Malta a couple of weeks ago on my holidays. It was $1.50. Ray, that's far too much. No, it was €1.50. That's still far too much. But I know what you're really thinking. You're thinking, oh no, we have to sit here for the next 5 to 7 minutes and listen to Ray Cotter rabbit on about something he thinks is vaguely amusing, but we're supposed to laugh. Well, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking what an idiot I turned out to be, to have said yes to Paul Ellis, because he was hard up for a speaker at a Speaking for Hospice night. And because I'm a people pleaser who can't say no, he knew I'd be a sure thing. That's what I'm thinking. So here's my hilarious speech. I'm glad you're all sitting down. Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen. Last week, as I was leaving the retail shop of our local petrol station, thinking about what kind of speech I was going to write for tonight's performance, I saw this rather young, attractive, scantily clad lady walk by. Oh, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ray, if you were only 30 years younger, you'd be giving her a bit of that. You'd be making a few shakes. You'd be asking her out for a coffee. No. No, that's not what I'm thinking at all. I'm thinking if that young lady doesn't dress appropriately, she could catch her death of cold. By catching her death of cold, it could develop into pneumonia. By developing into pneumonia, she could be rushed off in an ambulance to one of our local hospitals, unnecessarily taking up a bed or a trolley in one of Simon Harris's overstressed accident and emergency departments, which you and me as taxpayers of this country are paying for because of her inappropriate dress sense. That's what I'm thinking. As she walks by in her 6-inch high-heel stilettos, doesn't she trip and sprain her ankle? Oh, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ray, if you go over there and give her a bit of TLC, that'll help her sprained ankle. No, it won't. And no, that's not what I'm thinking at all. I'm thinking if I go over there and do the old Good Samaritan knight in shining armour bit, I'll be late for my dental hygienist appointment. Did you know that dental hygienists are an undervalued resource in our economy, huh? Fewer than 1% of the population of this country attend dental hygienists on an annual basis. Only 10% frequent dentists on a regular basis, and fewer than 12% floss on a weekly basis. Which means that if barely 23% of the population of this country are interested in the health of their teeth, I can only draw 2 conclusions. A, that the other 77% don't give a toss about floss. Or more than likely B, they're all too mean to spend a bean on their own dental hygiene. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. As I get into my car, I speed off like a bat out of hell. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this dental hygienist must be hot because you're always late for appointments. You're right. And her name is Sharon. As I make my way toward the dental hygienist, I have to take a detour to collect my 83-year-old mother, Breed, who is also attending her. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Ray, you suffer from that incurable, debilitating disease that most Irish sons of Irish mothers suffer from, called mammy-itis. Yes, and I'm proud of it. As myself and Mammy arrive at the dental hygienist, we're greeted by this new receptionist called Fifi, who said, "Mr. and Mrs. Cotter, I presume." I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this lady needs to get her eyes examined, and she thinks I suffer from the Oedipus complex. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I need an apology quick, and she needs to go to the Specsavers sooner rather than later. As I gingerly bring my mother down the corridor towards the surgery, we're then greeted by the hot Sharon, who says, "Reed, you're looking terrific." I know what you're thinking. That's so Donald Trump. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, "Hey Sharon, what's wrong with me? Do I not look terrific too? Or are you another person in this establishment that needs to go to Specsavers?" As Sharon starts to clean my mother's teeth, two thoughts spring to mind. One, look after your dental hygiene because it's important to your overall health. And two, look after your elderly mothers because they're the only ones you've got. I know what you're thinking. That's not a bad piece of advice, Ray. And you've also got to write a speech for Paul Ellis Speaking for Hospice. That's true. But I'm also thinking, if I didn't need this dental hygiene and didn't have to care for my elderly mother, I could be back at the local petrol station looking after a young, attractive, scantily clad lady with a sprained ankle and 6-inch high-heel stilettos, keeping her warm and saving her from pneumonia. Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Ray. And I'll tell you something, you've all got something to worry about if Ray Cotter knows what you're thinking. Because the way his mind works, I worry about the way he is thinking. We've seen some strange word pictures here tonight. But our next speaker tonight is familiar to us all. He's so familiar, actually, that he was referenced in Anything for the Sale, baby. Anything for the sale. Please welcome Michael Kaplan.
I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a true story. When I was in my early 20s, I was a real street animal. And as I walked down the street, I would greet the neighbours and say, "Good morning, Mrs. Murphy. Good morning, Mrs. O'Leary." And they would say, "Good morning, Mike." As I walked on, I could overhear them saying, "What a nice, respectable young man Micah is." Little did they know that once I got outside the area, and especially down the country for long weekends, the mischief, the devilment, and the crack I used to get up to. Myself and 3 friends used to enjoy going down to the country on long weekends. And when we were down there, we would play pranks in the street. And 3 of us would think up a prank for the 4th to carry out. This particular long weekend, we're down in Cork. It's early Saturday afternoon. We're in a pub. One table up, there's a woman sitting there by herself. She's in her early 50s. She's having a coffee, reading her magazine, minding her own business. The prank the 3 boys thought up from 8 months. I was to go up and chat her up. I moved up, and she was wearing a coat. And I said to her, I was admiring your poster. Nice design. Oh, she said, "Thank you very much." This is a family heirloom. My mother left it to me, and her mother left it to her. So I moved in closer, and I said to her, in low voice, I said, "I'm attracted to all the women." Now with that, she exploded. She went up to high dog. She said, I have you know that I'm a respectable married woman. What do you take me for to be? Do you think that I'm some sort of floozy come in here to be picked up by the likes of you? And she picked up her magazine and stormed out. And the three boys were rocking with her laugh. Now a year later, I'm in the Gresham Hotel in the I'm at a working lunch. I'm with the purchasing officer of a big German multinational firm. And I'm trying to get his firm's business. And all during the meal, I was massaging his ego, laughing at his stupid joke. I was just about to ask him for the order, and I became aware of the woman standing there. Now, I didn't recognise her, but it was the woman from Cork the previous year. And what I didn't know was that she had been sitting over there with her friend. And she saw me coming in, and she told her friend, that's the man I was telling you. So the two of them decided that they would think of a prank to play on me. So they went into the lady's bathroom, and she tarted herself up. She blowed the rouge on her cheeks, big, thick red lipstick. Her coat was wide open, hanging on her shoulders, and she'd one hand inside, and she said, oh, there you are, lover boy, she says. Where have you been hiding? And then she bends over and she gets my cheek. And she squeezes my cheek and says, you naughty boy, you were supposed to ring me, she says. And she turns to the purchasing officer and said, he's a real dreamer. And as she's going, she blows me a kiss and says, ring me, lover boy. And herself and her friend fall out of the hotel with a laugh. I didn't know what to say or do. The purchasing officer could see how embarrassed I was. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll have a word with my managing director and I'll give you a ring in advance. Went back to the office and the boss said, how did it go? Oh, I said it went very well, I said. I said, he's going to have a word with his managing director. I have a good vibe about this. Listen, he said, you've been bringing up the rear for the last 3 months. In fact, you haven't even reached your targets in the last 3 months. Now you make sure you get that sale. You either ship up or ship out. So the next day, the purchasing officer rings me. He says he was discussing it with his managing director. And could I come up on Friday at 12 noon and discuss it further with her? Her name is Miss Helga Muller. I went up, I was brought into her office. She was a woman in her early 50s. And all I can say about her was that she was never a contestant in the Miss World. And a colleague told me that before she defected to West Germany, she used to represent East Germany in the Olympics, in wrestling. She was sitting behind a big car-shaped desk. There was nothing on the desk. And she was in a swivel chair and she would have it raised. So anybody who was on the far side should be looking down. So I went into my usual pitch on my new UK. And the next thing she said, I understand that you like all of them. But for the second time in a week, I was checkmated by a woman in her 50s. I didn't know what to say. And the next thing she says to me, we discussed this tomorrow night over a meal in my apartment, 8 o'clock. And she shoves her business card across the table, and on the back is the address of her apartment. I didn't go back to the office that afternoon. But that night I'm thinking to myself, what will I bring for the meal? I said, will I bring chocolates? I said, I'm not going to visit my aunt in hospital. I'll bring flowers, too much of a romantic connotation. I decided on the old reliable, I would bring that fucking meal. And I knew how punctual Germans like to be. So at exactly 8 o'clock, I rang her door. And she opened the door for me. And she says, welcome, she said. And she was all changed and transformed. Everything about her was theatrical and dramatic. And she got her hair done and it was all puffed up. And her eyebrows followed in the same direction. And she was dressed as if she was going for a rock and roll competition. She had a tight white polo-neck sweater, a red rockabilly dress, white socks, and black pump shoes. I surveyed the apartment. Everything was arranged. Everything was organised. Everything was calculated. Over there she had a table set for two with a lighted candle. Over here she had a record player. And there was a record playing like the Rolling Stones. I can't get no satisfaction. She had a drink cabinet there, and she poured me a drink. She said it's an old German drink, served in a little timber. And you throw it back against gold and it explodes in your stomach. And on the wall there she had a bookcase. And I was looking at the titles of the book. And one was Lady Chatterley's Love. There was another one, The Joy of Sex. And there was one there I just wasn't familiar with at all. It was 49 Shades of Grey. She said that she read her horoscope in the newspaper, and it said that she was going to make passionate love to a younger man. I felt like saying, that was last week's paper. She was quite nimble on her feet, and she did a pirouette. And as she twirled around, her dress went outwards and upwards. And she said to me, what do you think? What I said to her, very nice. What I said to myself was, big ties. It was 4 o'clock when I eventually crawled into my own bed. And I stayed there for the rest of the day. I didn't go into the office on Monday. I went off to another customer to see if I could get an order. Went in on Tuesday. And the colleague said to me, the boss is looking for you. He's going back. And then the post arrived. And there was a letter addressed to me. And it said private, personal, and confidential. It was a pink coloured document. And as I'm opening it, I could get the scent of perfume. And enclosed was the official order from the German bill. And it was a massive order. And this would bring me now back on top, salesman of the month. Also enclosed was a card. The card said, my dearest Mike, thank you for what you did. You must do the same again soon. All my love, Helga, kiss, kiss, kiss. Put the card in my inside. I picked up the order and I marched down the main office into where the boss was, and I put it on his desk and I said, get a load of that. And he picked it up, and I could see the joy and the delight in his face. He said, well done, excellent, great job. Just as I'm going out the door, he half jokingly says to me, I wonder what you had to do to get that order. I stopped, I turned around and I looked at him and I said, you know me? Anything for the sale, baby. Anything for the sale.
Thank you very much, Michael. There were we think we were going to get a humorous speech and we got a romantic story instead. But the main thing that we got from it is that Michael is into older women. So you know how it fits, ladies. I mentioned earlier on about some of the images that we get from the speeches that we hear in hospice. And one of the enduring images I have of our next speaker, in a little penny, doing his ironing. He tells us great stories of his domestic bliss. And I don't know if we're going to have another domestic bliss story tonight. With a speech entitled The Poetry Competition, please welcome Kieran Blair.
Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious speech, unfortunately. In 1967, I graduated from UCD as an engineer, and like many an Irishman before, I went to England to work on the motorways. When I got there, I found that there were 7 other Irish graduates, and we joined 8 British graduates. And on the first night we were there working, we were brought out for a big social night in a small pub, the Drunken Duck, just outside Wakefield. The idea was for us to get to know one another We had a few nice, quiet pints and everything was going really well. But there was a British public school boy there called Colin Pratt. I thought he was particularly well named. He started a row about the relative merits of the Irish and the British engineering degrees. He suggested the British was far superior. Luckily, one senior engineer who was looking after us that night socially said, "Look guys, you're all being paid the same money." It was £999 we were being paid in '67. I'll tell you at the end of your 2 years graduate program who were the better engineers. So with that agreed, everybody was happy. But Pratt wasn't happy. Pratt said, "You may be our engineering equals, but in the area of art and the literature," he said, "the Irish wouldn't hold a candle to the British." And this was much too much for my good friend Bill Shine from Galway, who immediately challenged him to what became known later as the Great Poetry Competition. The rules, he said, would be simple. One team would start the first 2 lines of a poem. If the other team could give the next 2 lines, they would get 2 points. Whoever had the most points at the end of the evening would be declared the literary geniuses. So with the rules agreed, Bill Shine tossed his 2-headed coin and served for Ireland. Wordsworth, that is, "I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills." The British continued, "When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils." 2 points for Britain. Victor returned with Wordsworth, "Behold a single in the field, yon solitary island, last greeting and singing by yourself, stop here, or gently pass." Intercept stuff. No difficulty here. 2 points for Ireland. There was a nice exchange of Shelley, Ozymandias. I met a traveller from an antique land who said, "To vast and trumpet legs of stone stand in the desert," and they replied with Shelley's Wild West Wind. So after a few simple exchanges of drink and poems, the night was going really well. But Pratt wasn't happy. He thought that the British had got the better in the early exchanges of poetry, and he suggested a new rule, that if anybody got 4 points ahead, there'd be a free round of drink. Well, with the thought of free drink, Kevin Burke quoted Ledwidge, "You shall not hear the bittern cry in the wild sky where he is lain." A stunned silence from the British, as they realized in the back of their poetry book there was no Irish section. 2 points for Ireland, and they replied with Chesterton's donkey when fishes flew and birds walked and figs grew upon thorns. He said, "When one moment when the moon was blood, then surely I was born." 4 points for Ireland, and the first round of free drink. 7 pints of Guinness and a paddy and ice. There was a nice exchange of Blake, "Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night." There was lovely poems continued. We could tell poems all evening, and when we needed a drink, we did another Irish poem. 7 pints of Guinness and a paddy and ice. It was all going very well. Then Liam O'Mahony for Ireland, when his pint got quite low, said, "Guys, I'll do Yeats. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree in the small cabin built there." Pratt was furious. He was really, really excited. It was going to be his most expensive night of drinking ever. He sought to change the rules. He said, "You have to be 8 points ahead before you get free drink." Our captain, Bill Shine, said he'd agree to the new rule, but only if they'd agree to a rule that if somebody could complete a poem in its entirety, there'd be a double bonus round of free drink. He said to his own team, "Leave it to me, I'll serve the one they won't know." He thought long and hard of all of those Shakespearean sonnets, and unfortunately picked number 113, "When to the sessions of sweet silent thought." It was on the leaving circle. "When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up the memories of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I've sought, and with old woes, new ways, my dear times waste. Then can I drown, and I used to flow for precious friends hid in death's faithless night, and weep again, love long since cancelled woes, and mourn the loss of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve if grievances forgone, and heavily promote woe, tell all the sad account before be moaned moan, which I knew tells if not told before. And if the while I think on thee, dear friend, all losses are restored, and sorrows end. A double bonus round of free drink, 14 pints of Guinness, and 2 paddies a night. It was then my turn to think of a poem, and I wasn't going to give away the first Irish free drink, I can assure you. I thought long and hard, what was the longest poem in the old blue poetry book? And then I remembered The Lady of Shalott. 171 glorious lines. Well, they got the next 2, but they didn't really have a clue. We were really taking them apart. They tried every trick in the book. They tried Lear's the Owl and the Pussycat, but we knew it had gone to sea in a beautiful secret. We knew they took some money and plenty of honey wrapped up in a £5 note. We knew they all looked up to the stars above. We knew the whole damn thing, really. They tried even some music hall stuff. Stanley Holloway used to do it. Some of the older members up there, like Michael Kavanagh, will remember. There's a famous seaside place called Blackpool that's noted for fresh air and fun. And Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom went there with young Albert, their son. A grand little lad, young Albert, all dressed in his best. Quite a swell. The stick with the horse's head down, but that's what one of us. Amazingly, one of our guys, Martin Ryan, it was a tradition in their family to know this poem in its entirety. He repeated the whole poem, really, you'll excuse the expression, pissed off my friend Mr. Pratt, and we got another 14 pints of Guinness and 2 paddies a night. The British tried all the great British poets, and in desperation they did Houseman, Belloc and Walter Delamere. We did all the English poets, and we needed a drink because when it did one of the Irish poets. That night was about 121 poems done by about 20 or 30 different poets. We weren't too sure. Later on in the evening, we had 6 points up, and there was 2 minutes left to go. Our captain, Bill Shine, said, "Leave it to me, I'll serve an ace." We thought there were no more poems left, but Bill Shine stood up and said, "Raven a van a three more, after Bollock Nobby Shan." "It's not fair," shouted Pratt, "it's got to be in English." He relented, and he gave him the great American poet Robert Frost, "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I couldn't travel those." Everybody knows those 2 lines. Nobody's a clue what happened there. A last round of free drink, 7 pints of Guinness and a paddy and ice. The Irish drank that night 91 pints of Guinness and 13 paddies and ice. The British, to be fair to them, won 1 round of free drink, 4 pints of Newcastle Brown, 2 gin and tonics, a Campari and soda, and a cup of tea and a pork pie. The Irish, ladies and gentlemen, were declared the winners.
Thank you very much, Kieran. That was a departure from your usual style. And what say, you've shown us that you're not just a champion speaker, but a champion poetry reciter as well. Our final speaker this evening is John Coleman. And the reason John got that round of applause is because he's the person who encouraged me to join Toastmasters. He was president of local Toastmasters when I came along as a guest. And I thought if anybody as irreverent as him could be president of the club, I wanted to be part of that club. With a speech entitled A Hampered Speech, please welcome John Cronin. That was John saying he's just warming up. I'm not too sure whether it's himself or the computer is just warming up. You have a half speech. Half speech. Can you remember the other half? They always said you don't perform with animals for children. You don't perform with laptops either. It's a bad idea. Oh, it's worse again. It's worse again. Have you got the dog on the corner? Maybe that's what he means by hampered speech. You meant a half speech.
One of the individuals who keeps us back who won't be able to hear me, that was quite brief. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But, listen,
That's the Toastmasters motto. It'll be fine.
We go off with stuff here, but look, we're going to start because I have to predict the whole. And I want to go.
Slowly. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I do want to say I'm delighted and thank you, and thank you, Paula, for inviting me here this evening, just to share with you a speech which will include my wonderful son, James. And perhaps you could refrain from that, because depending on how well he performs now, it's quite technical. That said, I know, and I spoke to him before the break there, you've all been away on holidays, travelling around Ireland, travelling around on the buses, as Andrew was, off to your dental hygienist, where you weren't wanting to create a false impression, Ray. Working that joke. Well, one thing for certain this summer, if you did travel, and if you did travel in your car, for sure, this is a scene that would have happened. Driving along, and you're lost. And your partner says to you, pull in over there and have some way. I know where I'm going. A minute. 5 minutes later, pull in over there. There's a postman. Ask him, I know where I'm going. I know, I've been here before. And it gets worse. Stop the car. I'm getting out. Pull in over there. There's a guard. You stop. You ask the guard. And you don't want to let the guard know that you don't know where you're going. So you say, is this the right road to Nobber? Which is the place in Meath, where the Nobberigines live. That actually wasn't in my script. And he directs me, he says, well, you're a long way from there. And that is a scene that happens year in, year out, in every family in Ireland. And if you recognise yourself in that speech as the person who refused to ask for direction, you all have one thing in common. You are men. Because men do not ask for directions. In the Bible, they spent 40 years walking around the desert looking for the promised land because he wouldn't ask for directions. And my father was no different. My father had a great sense of adventure, but unfortunately, he had no sense of direction. But I'll give him his due. Growing up, particularly in the 1970s, we travelled all around Europe in a Hillman country and a trailer, and we camped everywhere, and it was amazing. And I remember, I think it was 1976, we were camping just outside Paris. I should have been moving the slides along. And we were camping just outside Paris, and my father said, I think we'll go to Germany. It's like he was going down to the Spa. I said, that's great, but one of the things, and I'm after forgetting to do something, because it was called a hampered speech, because I had a hampered to illustrate that
And here it is. And I just wanted to bring a few illustrations of our journey. And one of the things you desperately need when you're traveling around France is a map, don't you? Remember the old maps? Yeah. Very good. So Dad said, look, I tell you, we'll take a shortcut through Paris on Bastille Day. And there we are. And that was me taking the photograph of Paris. I didn't realise back then that Paris had 4 Eiffel Towers, because we spent 3 hours trying to get through. And the air was blurred. Remember that scene? Pull in there and ask your man which way we're going. Ask the gendarmerie over there. And my mother is trying to calm things down, and it is going nowhere. And eventually we arrive at a major intersection. There's the 4 Eiffel Towers. And we see this massive road sign, which looks really, really important. And my father quickly turns to me and says, "You're doing French in school. What does that sign say?" We don't do road signs until second year. So I couldn't help. You're no. But eventually, you know something? It all passes. And we get out of Paris, and we're heading east towards Germany. And my mum turns and said, "That wasn't too bad there." And she says, she puts out the music, and she says, "We'll have some music." And she starts to put on the tape in the car, and she's playing the music. And it's her favourite song. And then she gets the Marietta bit. When they have a Marietta bit, it's the Biltmood, we're north of the Biltmood. And we had Seatown. And we all sang. Remember the song? Yeah. You do. You do. You might get a chance to sing it later. And you might get a chance to win all of this if you're the best singer. So, I tell you all of that by way of a very long introduction because sometimes in life we lose direction and we forget to ask for directions. And I have been a bit like that myself of late. And I was thinking about where my life was going to go. And I was thinking too, particularly of the last words spoken by Sir Stephen Hawkins. That's terrible. That's you can't do that. That's hard. Think about that. And actually that tune is translated into The Unexamined Life Is Not Worth Living. I bet you didn't know that. Which was obviously by the great Socrates. You've heard of Socrates, yes? He's a Brazilian footballer. I always thought that there was a Greek thing back there, but obviously not. God bless the internet, because I looked it up and told me that that was the case. So I was examining my life, and I was looking at certain things, a bit like Michael in Nervous Street. And there were things there, Michael, that kind of troubled me. The postcards, and the birthday cards, and the Christmas cards from some distant relative in New York. My absolute love of American hot dogs. And every time I heard the American national anthem, I had this absolute passion. Even if it was in a film. So I knew it was telling me something about America. And I was harbouring the thought that perhaps my parents weren't through the same. And I decided that I would confront them, that perhaps there was another chapter in my life that was never shared with me. And I rang them and I said, "I'd like to come and see you." And he said, "You can make an appointment, it's over next Thursday." And I want to talk about parenting because I have some questions. So I went over and my father was waiting and he was wearing a t-shirt that made a very bold statement. This is a t-shirt picture. And basically he was making the following point. I am. So I didn't wash that. So I went into my mother, who was in the kitchen, ironing, listening to Sweet Caroline. And I said, "Why do you always listen to that song?" "Oh, that's the song that JFK and Jackie Lasses danced to up in the American Embassy in Phoenix Park when they were over here in '63. She said, Didn't I tell you I worked there?" He says, "Yes, you did, Mother. And didn't I tell you I got my photograph taken?" "You didn't. And they were up at the, what's that?" "That's it. You might get it back." And I worked there. And I had my photograph taken, and I actually had the photograph. And that fellow Tobias from Dublin RTE asked me to include the photograph. You can check the airflow. That airflow goes. There's a picture of John F. Kennedy. Yeah. John F. Kennedy and look, Pity, Lamass, and my mother. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And if you can do something there in Chorlton, they would absolutely love it. I don't know what that. No, it's such a special moment. My mother is so proud of it. It's one of the reasons she called me John. What is there? Is that what happened to you, Philip, after 20 miles? Check the airflow. Yeah. Maybe that's what you should have said. Sorry. Anyway, that is an absolute pity. But either way, she told me that she worked up there. I said, of course she did. And she said Kennedy was always very attentive to her. In fact, she used to power off when she turned back the beds at night. And she always was very, very considerate, she was, to my mother. I said, that's interesting. I said, what happened next? Well, he went back to America, and I left the job shortly afterwards. Why did you leave the job, mother? Well, I was pregnant with you. And 9 months later, you were born. 9 months after Kennedy leaves Ireland. And that's why she called me John Francis Cronin. I knew it. It had to be, didn't it? It had to be. JFK is my father. And I decided then that I would travel to America. I would sail across the broad Atlantic foam in search of my parents. I love that song. I love that. Titanic, remember? I could never, could I just actually stop the speech? Because I could never get the bit about her saying about hot dogs. What was the thing about hot dogs in warm? Anyway, you can have the hot dogs later if you sing. Back to speech. We're 6 days at sea. I spotted a bald patch of land up ahead. I said to the captain, Captain, what is that bald patch of land over there? He said, that's Ellis Island. I need to go there. So, unfortunately, I land in Ellis Island. I take myself through the great hallway over the parquet floor of the entrance hall in Ellis Island, up the stairway to America, down to the archives, fill out an inquiry form, hand it in, a moment later, security card comes up, says, would you like to be the place? So we walk down, and I enter in the room, and there's a very old lady standing there. In fact, she's so old that the drafting window is blowing the cobwebs in her hair. It smells of chantilly lace and mothballs, and a mouth like a dog's bottom. But when she smiles, I said, I won't tell you about that. And she said those 5 most beautiful words, we've been expecting you. And she handed me this letter. And the letter, hell was for me. And there was a message from the other side. And I want to share it with you. I didn't realize it was that envelope. And it's basically said this. Go to the place where it was once proclaimed. And when the great clock strikes 12, the light from the great tower of the millennium will illuminate the Rosetta line. Follow this line beyond the bridge of gold, the sound of the sad bell, and the sight of the slaughtered cattle until you reach the great pyramid. At the heart of this great pyramid you will discover the man who saved 1,000 souls, and he will reveal to you your real ancestors. And then, my son, you will be a triumph. Kennedy's not my father. Pyramids, slaughtered cattle, Rosetta line. I know where I should have been looking. Something far, far greater. And I do hope he puts a piece of music on. I was the Son of God. But then I realized that's not true. I couldn't, because you have to be very moral and righteous to be the Son of God. And sometimes I tell stories that are not true. So I dismissed that. Anyway, I couldn't go to Egypt. Not after my uncle Cornelius Mary Cronin. He worked with Harold Carter, the great explorer, and he discovered this great ancient king. And he opened the cast and he saw this band, chocolate, and hazelnuts. My uncle decided to call it Pharaoh. I returned to Dublin. What could this all mean? And if we were following the PowerPoint, you'd see it. Go to the place. And nothing was happening. I was lying in bed Wednesday morning, listening to Sunday and Saturday, and we were talking about these horizon. And the poor pigs standing on the steps of the GPO reading the proclamation. I need to go. That's where I need to go. Go to the place where it was once proclaimed. Pierce, GPO. So I go into town. I stand on the steps of the GPO. There's a busker nearby, and he's playing one song. I could see Cleary's now. The crane was gone. The crane that built the Millennium Spire. I could also see Andrew waiting for his days under Cleary's clock. And just then, the clock started bowing. Yes, the two clouds parted over Moore Street, and a shaft of light threw itself at the spire and cast a long shadow the length of O'Connell Street, past Penny's, Beeson's, Clark's, and at the intersection of Abbey Street, right with the Lewis red line, the Rosetta line. I will get on the Lewis. I will follow it. It is a sign. I go out past the bridge, Golden Bridge. The sound of the sad bell, blue bell. Yes, the slaughtered cattle, the red cow. Eventually, in the distance, I see the Great Pyramid, the square tower. I will go and search. I will go and search of the man who saved 1,000 souls. Enter right in the centre of the square tower. You will find Cody's coffins. Draw pictures for you later. Explained who I was. He says, I'm Vincent Cody. He said, not that Vincent Cody. It's good the first time. I explained my predicament. I know. She walked up in the ambassador's lessons. They're absolutely right. That is true. And a lovely woman went in. A very attractive woman. That's my mother. Well, so was there something there between herself and Kennedy? And I showed him this whole thing. He says, look at that. I'm a good solver of clues. He said, no, but there was another lad there, a young lad, who was just out of West Point. The cadets, you know, the American cadets. And he was over in an overseas tour of duty. Douglas. Show me that. I think to hopefully it was done. A triumph you will be without eye. Take the eye out of triumph, you have trump. I am a trump. So tomorrow I travel to America in search of my people, to be reunited with my father. And on the 25th anniversary of SpeakingForHospice, I will return with my father and tell you how things are going. But I do want to leave you with this wonderful pamphlet that represents my life. I even included a voucher for €250 for clearance. My dad's map of France, the Milky Moves, my mother. I want you to sing. I want you to sing as loud as you can because it broke my heart to hear the collective at the same time. And you're going to show Colette that as the collective, you can sing. Why not sing this? Why not sing Sweet Caroline? I can play it there. And we get going. And if you had known the words would be screaming. Okay, you do know the words. Mr. Ellis, are you going to lead us? And whoever sings the best will get this happen. So you sing, you clap, and James Cronin will decide. Much louder.
Welcome the spring, when the spring became the sun.
Who would believe? Yes, this one's for you. This one's for my mother.
Good times never seem so good.
One more time.
I'm feeling fine. To believe they never would. Look at the
Right,
world.
next. One more line. One more line.
And it don't seem so lonely. We get it all with always do. And when I hit,
You want the
hanging on my shoulder, I got hurt and holding you.
We're singing that. Here we go.
Warm,
Warm. I believe the hot dogs are
touching warm.
Anyone?
Times never seem so good. I think to believe they never would.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. James Cronin is going to present this hamper to who he believes was the best singer on the night. Round of applause for James. God bless America. Well done, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the man who was either the son of President Kennedy, or the son of God, or the son of President Trump, and James Cronin. Thank you both. We've come to the end of another great night, another great year of our Speaking for Hospice. I've really enjoyed myself. I presume you have too. I certainly see by the looks on your faces that you've really been enjoying yourselves. So I say good night and God bless, and see you next year.